indigos. We have indigo recessive. That is the type 3 that has 2 avatars in one body, the Nephilim and the Orphim. That's type 3. That's the most common type, okay, at least presently. Most of the ones coming in the next, between now and 2017, are going to be type 2 and type 1. And there'll be more type 1 coming in toward 2012. Because right now the planet can't hold too much of that frequency, because they bring that, even though it's not plugged into the DNA, they bring in their morph field huge amounts of frequency that if you put too many on the planet, when the planet's at this rate of growth itself, you can actually blow the grids. So these are all contracted. If 3 billion of these Emerald Order wanted to come in all at once, they're not allowed to, because they'd fry the system and blow the planet up. Energy is energy, whether it's in a body or in a planet body. And it's all about energy relationships. So the type 3s are the most common right now because they're the ones that have the lowest frequency of the bunch of them, because they're counterbalanced. If you take the 24 strand capacity of the Orphim and combine it with a -11 capacity of the Nephilim, it basically comes out to a positive 12. They have the capacity to activate 12 strands. Most of them won't in this life. So they're not pulling in as much frequency as the other 2 types. They're doing their own little help. The evolution program is important what they're doing, but they don't have to worry about running as much frequency as the other 2 do. Next type is the type 2. It's the indigo dominant. It's the next most common type. Again, it has more frequency running through it than the type 3, but not as much as the type 1. Okay? They've been coming in for 75 to 100 years in little dribs and drabs here, mostly since the 1950s when it was realized that things were going to get really weird here. All right. There are about 500,000 indigo dominants right now, and another 130,000 between 1999 and 2005. So these guys are coming in soon. These are little babies. Some of them may turn out blue. Some of them may be accidentally pyrokinetic. Those kind of things. Like if you happen to have, a grandchild or something, and you see it laying in its crib, and all of a sudden the teddy bear from across the room levitates and ends up in the crib. No, you're not watching Samantha and Tabitha on Bewitched. You're watching what an indigo can do by accident. It just wished it and it happened. Most of them, because the 4th strand is not plugged in at birth, will not have that happening. But once in a while one slips through where there's more 4th strand activation, so that means more of the 5th and 6th are plugging in, which starts to give them some really odd abilities, like that accidentally starting the composites. These are indigo composites. They're composites because they have to come in through a walk-in experience. When you have one of these, it can be very interesting, because usually if the codes are going right, by about age 12, you're not dealing with the same child anymore. Same overall being. It'll come in from its own oversoul level, but it's not from the same soul matrix. So literally, the souls change places. Same oversoul, but not the same soul. Different personality. You may find subtle changes, or you may find abrupt. Used to be an artist, now it's a mathematician. Used to love horses, now can't stand them. You may notice subtle or extreme shifts with these children, and it's okay. It's part of the walk-in process. It can be very confusing for them because there's still that part of the personality, the ego, the focus is out here going, I don't feel like me anymore. Something happened. Walking in is a whole experience unto itself. I could do a whole workshop on what that is and how to make it less troublesome than it can be. These are some of the skills that we're going to need to help these children to get to their potential, and they'll help us too. Because the more you work with indigos, the more frequency starts coming through their energy fields, and they become walking transmitters, and their codes will stimulate your DNA codes.